Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this session, we are going to cover something very important and very practical. We are going to talk about Azure Virtual Machines. Have you ever thought how companies create secure cloud server within minutes without purchasing any expensive physical hardware? In today's video, we are going to create Azure Virtual Machine step by step using the Azure Portal. And along the way, we will understand many important cloud concepts used in real-world IT environment. This is not just a simple VM creation demo. In this video, you will learn how to navigate the Azure Portal after sign-in, what are the resource groups and why they are important, what is virtual networks and how VNet help machines to communicate securely, what is the public IP and what is the NSG rules, why availability zones are used for high availability and business continuity, and how to select the right VM size, disk type and region. And finally, how to remotely connect to your Azure Virtual Machine from your own system. So once you log into the Azure Portal, that is the main dashboard where you can manage all cloud resources and services. On the top, you will see the search bar. You can quickly search for any Azure service like virtual machine, storage accounts, networking or database. On the left hand side, you will find the navigation menu where you can access all services. This section contains hundreds of Azure services related to the compute, networking, security, artificial intelligence, storage and much more. Now let's jump into the Azure portal and start creating our virtual machine step by step. So let us start from the beginning. What is a virtual machine? A virtual machine is one of the most basic and most important service on Azure. Think of it like renting a computer. That computer can run Windows, Linux or any other operating system. It lives inside Microsoft data center, but you can connect it from anywhere in the world using your laptop or desktop. That is exactly what we are going to build today. A virtual machine running on the Azure, and I will show you every single step from very first screen. Once the portal load, you will see the Azure homepage at the top. There is a search bar. Click on it and type virtual machine. You will see it appear in the suggestions. Click on it. You will now see the virtual machine page. This shows all the virtual machines in your account. If you are new, the list will be empty. To create a new virtual machine, click on the Create button and then select Azure Virtual Machine. This will open the Create Virtual Machine wizard. You can see at the top it says Create a Virtual Machine. On this page, there are also two helpful buttons. One says Help me to choose right VM size for my workload, and the other button says Help me to create a low-cost virtual machine. These are AI-powered tools from Azure itself. You can use them if you are not sure what to pick. But today we will go through everything manually so you understand each and everything. The first section on the basic tab is about your subscription. You can see the field labeled subscription. It shows Azure Subscription 1. A subscription is your billing account with Microsoft. All the resources you create will be linked to this subscription. The cost will be charged here. So if you are using a free trial, your subscription will say something like free trial or Azure for students. If you are using a company account, your company subscription name will appear here. In our case, it shows Azure Subscription 1. This is a paid subscription. We will leave it as it is. Right below the subscription, you see resource group. It currently shows new resource group. And there is a link that says create new. So let me explain what a resource group is. Think of it like a folder on your computer. When you create a virtual machine, Azure also create many other things along with it. It creates a data disk, it creates a network interface, a public IP address, a virtual network and a security group. All of these together from one project. So a resource group keep all of those things in one folder. When your project is done, you can delete the entire resource group at once. Everything inside it get deleted together. It makes management very easy. In our video, we are naming the resource group RG1. This is a short and simple name. For your own project, use a name that makes sense to you. In the next section, you can see it is asking for a virtual machine name. So this is the name of your computer inside the Azure. In our example, we are typing user 1. You can choose any name that you like, use letters and numbers, avoid spaces and special characters. So this name is important because it also becomes the computer name inside the operating system. So whenever you try to sign into your computer, it will show you the name. Now look at the region field. It shows Asia Pacific, Central India. The region is the physical location of Microsoft data center where your VM will be created. Azure has data center in many countries. United States, Europe, Asia, India, Australia and more. You should choose a region that is closest to your users or your location. A closer region means your VM will respond faster. You can also see below the region field, there is a small link that says deploy to an Azure extended zone. This is a newer option from Azure that lets you place a VM even closer to a specific edge location. For most users, you will not need this. We are using Central India. Now we come to availability option. This is set to availability zone. Let me explain this carefully because it is very important. When you run a virtual machine in a real production environment, you want it to be available all the time. But what if Microsoft need to do some maintenance on the server where your VM is running? What if there is a hardware failure with that particular server? So availability zone protect you from this. Azure has multiple physical data center buildings inside the same region. These are called zones. If you put your virtual machine in availability zone, even if building has a problem, your VM can stay in a different building. You will also see zone option below this. There are two choices. Self-selected zones means you manually choose which zone number, like zone 1, zone 2 or zone 3. And the other is Azure selected zones, means you let Azure choose the best zone for you. You will also notice a small information message here. It says using Azure selected zone is not supported in region Central India. This means in this region you must select the zone yourself. We are using self-selected zone. For learning and testing it is fine. For serious production system, availability zones are very important. Now scroll down a little and you will see the security type. It is set to trusted launch virtual machine. There is also a link below it that says configure security features. What is trusted launch? It is a security feature that protects your virtual machine from attacks that happen before Windows or Linux operating system even start. It uses two things called secure boot and VTPM. Secure boot makes sure that only trusted software can start on your virtual machine. No malicious program can run at the beginning. VTPM is a virtual security chip. It stores security keys and checks that the system has not been changed in a bad way. For most users, trusted launch is the best choice. It gives you good security without making things complicated. Leave it as trusted launch. Now look at the image field. In the video we first see it set to Ubuntu server 24.04 LTS. The image is the operating system of your virtual machine. Think of it like choosing which operating system to install on a new computer. So Ubuntu is a version of Linux. It is free, stable and very popular for servers. The 24.04 LTS means version 24.04. That LTS stands for long-term support. This means Ubuntu will keep supporting this version with updates for a long time. Free services eligible means if you are on a free Azure account, the cost of this image may be covered. Now if you want to see all available images, you can click see all images and this open the full marketplace. Let me tell you what you will find there. You will see a big page called select an image. On the left side there is a category list. Categories include infrastructure service, developer tools, IT and management tools, DevOps, web, security, databases, machine learning, analytics, AI apps and agents and many more. So there are 10,000 images available in the Azure marketplace. On the right you can see the image cards. We can see Windows Server, Windows 11, Windows Server 2022. You can also filter by pricing, operating system, publisher type, image type, security type and publisher name. So this is very useful when you are looking for a specific kind of image. For example, if you need a server with SQL Server already installed, you can search for SQL Server image and find ready-made one. If you need a Linux server with certain software, you can find that too. For this demonstration, we are choosing Windows Server 2025 Data Center Generation 2. This is one of the newest version of Windows Server from Microsoft. It is perfect for learning how to manage a Windows Server in the cloud. Below the image you see VM architecture. It shows two options, ARM64 and 64. So we are using 64-bit. This is the standard 64-bit architecture used by most computers. ARM64 is a newer architecture originally from mobile processors. So that is now available for cloud servers too. For most use cases, 64 is the right choice. Now you will also see a checkbox that says run with Azure Spot discount. This is not checked. Let me tell you what Azure Spot means. Azure has unused computing capacity in its data center at any given time. Microsoft offers this unused capacity at very low price, sometime up to 90% cheaper. So this is called a spot VM. But there is a catch. If Azure suddenly need that capacity back, it will shut down your virtual machine with very little warning, sometime just 30 seconds. So spot VMs are great for things like batch processing, testing or running job that can be stopped and restarted. They are not suitable for things that need to run 24 hours a day, like a web server or a database. We are leaving it unchecked. You can see a blue information box that says you are in a free trial period. Cost associated with this virtual machine can be covered by any remaining credit on your subscription. So this is a good news for beginners. Now look at the size field. This is one of the most important choice. It decides how powerful your virtual machine will be. Initially you see the size of standard B1S with 1 CPU, 1 GB memory. This is something you will encounter sometime on Azure. Not all virtual machine sizes are available in all regions. So when you see this error, you will have two choices. You can change the region to one where the size is available, or you can choose a different size that is available in your selected region. In my video, we click see all sizes to find another option. We end up choosing standard D2S V3, which give us two virtual CPUs, 8 GB memory. Let me tell you about the different VM size family so you understand what each one is for. B series is the bustable series. These VMs are designed for workloads that do not use full CPU all the time. They accumulate credit when ideal and use those credits when they need extra power. Good for small websites, development environment and light workloads. The D series is for general purpose workloads. It has a good balance of CPU and memory. The D2V3 we choose has 2 CPU and 8 GB RAM, which is a solid choice for most everyday server tasks. The E series is memory optimized. It has more RAMs and CPU. Good for databases and applications that need to keep a lot of data in the memory. F series is for the compute optimized, more CPU than RAM. Good for calculations and processing heavy tasks. Always check the estimated cost before you pick a size. For learning, start small, you can always resize later. Now scroll down, you will see the administrator account section. This is where you set the username and password for your virtual machine. You can choose any username you like. Keep it simple and easy to remember. Below the username, it is asking for the password. In the video, you can see there is a red error message that says password and confirm password must match. This happens when you accidentally type slightly different password in two boxes. It is very common mistake. Just type your password carefully in both fields and make sure they match exactly. Your password must be strong. Azure require it to be at least 12 character long. It must have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers and at least one special character like an exclamation mark or a dollar sign. A weak password make your virtual machine vulnerable for hackers. Write down your username and password. You will need them to log in your virtual machine using remote desktop later. Just below the administrator account, you can see inbound port rule section. This is very important for security. You can see it says select which virtual machine network ports are accessible from the internet. Public inbound port is set to allow selected port. This means certain ports will be open to the internet. Select inbound port shows RDP3389. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. So this is the way you can connect your virtual machine from your computer using a remote desktop application. Port number 3389 is the door through which that connection enters. You will also see a yellow warning box that says this will allow all IP addresses to access your virtual machine. This is only recommended for the testing. Use the advanced control in the networking tab to create rules to limited inbound traffic to known IP addresses only. This warning is very important. Opening RDP to all IP addresses means anyone in the world can try to connect your virtual machine. Now click on next at the bottom, the disk tab. Welcome to the disk tab. This controls the storage of your virtual machine. The first section is OS disk. The OS disk is the main hard drive of your virtual machine. This is where the Windows operating system is installed. The OS disk shows image default 127 GB. This means the size of the disk is default size that comes with the Windows Server 2025 image, which is 127 GB. That is more than enough for a Windows server. OS disk type is set to premium SSD and locally redundant storage. Let me explain the disk type. Premium SSD is fast. It gives you low latency and high input-output speed. This is the recommended type for production workload. It costs a bit more but performs much better. Standard SSD is slower but cheaper, good for test environment where performance is not critical. And standard HDD is the slowest and cheapest, good only for backup and archiving data that you rarely access. So we are using premium SSD, that is good choice. Locally redundant storage or LRS means Azure keep 3 copies of your disk data inside the same data center, so even if one physical disk fails, your data is safe. Delete with VM is checked. This is very important. When you delete the virtual machine later, the OS disk will be deleted automatically too. So if this is not checked, the disk remain even after the virtual machine is deleted and you continue to be charged for the storage. I always recommend keeping this checked. Key management is set to platform managed key. This means Azure manage the encryption key for your disk automatically. Azure handle all the key management for you. You do not have to worry about it. Enable ultra disk compatibility is not checked. Ultra disk is a very high performance disk option, much faster than premium SSD. It is used for very demanding applications like large databases. For our purpose, we do not need it. Now look at the section called Data Disk for VM1. This is where you can add extra storage disk to your virtual machine. The OS disk holds the operating system, but if you want to store application data or databases or files, it is the best practice to put that on a separate data disk. That way your operating system and your data are separate. If you need to reinstall the operating system, your data stays safe on the data disk. You can click create and attach the new disk. To add one, you can choose the disk size and type. You can also click attach an existing disk if you have an old disk from previous virtual machine that you want to connect with this virtual machine. For our demo, we are not adding a data disk. Click next, networking tab. Now welcome to the networking tab. This is one of the most important tabs. It controls how your virtual machine talks to the internet and to the other services. The first thing you see is network interface. Below that you see virtual network. It shows VM1 VNet, a virtual network or a VNet. A VNet is a private network inside Microsoft Azure. All your Azure resources that need to communicate with each other should be inside the same virtual network. In our video, we also go deeper and create a custom virtual network. Next to the virtual network field, a side panel open. The panel is called Create Virtual Network. So here we are naming the virtual network VM1 Hub VNet. We can see the address space set to 10.0.0.0/16. This means the network can have IP addresses from 10.0.0.0 all the way to 10.0.255.255, that is 65,536 possible IP addresses in this network. Below that, under subnets, we can see a subnet named VM1 subnet with address range 10.0.1.0/24. A subnet is a smaller network inside the virtual network. The address range 10.0.1.0/24 means the subnet has 256 addresses. From 10.0.1.0 to 10.0.1.25, your VM will get an IP address from this range. Think of virtual network as a whole building and the subnet as the floor of the building. Different resources can be on different floors for the better organization and security. Click OK to save this virtual network. It will now appear selected in the virtual network field. Now look at the subnet. It shows default 10.0.0.0/24. This is the specific smaller network your virtual machine will be placed in. Now come down. Public IP shows VM1 IP. A public IP address is the address that the internet uses to reach your virtual machine. Without a public IP, your virtual machine can only be reached from within the same virtual network. You need a public IP to connect to virtual machine from your laptop or from the desktop anywhere in the world. So there is also a note that says public IP address have a nominal charge. This means Azure charges a small amount for having a public IP. Even when the virtual machine is stopped, keep this in mind. Now let's see NIC, Network Security Group. Network Security Group has three options: None, Basic and Advanced. We are using Basic. A Network Security Group or NSG is a firewall. It decides what traffic is allowed in and which is blocked. Basic means Azure creates simple rules based on the inbound port you have selected on the Basic tab. In our case, it will allow RDP on port 3389. Advanced give you full control to write your own rules. You can specify exact IP addresses, port range and protocols. For production environment, always use advanced and lock down access tightly. Public inbound port here confirms allow selected ports, which is consistent with what we have selected on the Basic tab. Under management, you can see these things. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is set to Basic. This is Microsoft Security Monitoring Service. The free Basic tier give you the basic security assessment and recommendation. It will flag obvious security problems. Upgrading to the paid tier give you advanced threat detection and protection. For learning, the free tier is fine. Now click through Management and we will look at the Monitoring tab. On this tab, we can see configure monitoring options for your virtual machines. The first section is alert. There is a checkbox called enable recommended alert tools. So if you enable this, Azure will automatically create alert rule for your virtual machine. For example, it will send you an email if your CPU usage stays very high for a long time, or if your virtual machine become unreachable. For production system, this is very useful. For our demo, we are leaving it unchecked. The next section is diagnostics. The first option is boot diagnostic. It is set to enable with managed storage account recommended. Boot diagnostic is very helpful feature. When a virtual machine starts, Azure take a screenshot and save it. If your virtual machine ever failed to start, you can look at the screenshot from the Azure Portal to understand what went wrong. This has saved many IT professionals a lot of troubleshooting time. The three choices are enable with managed storage account, Azure handle the storage for you. Enable with custom storage account, you specify your own storage account, or disable. The recommended choice is managed storage account, leave it as it is. There is a small note that says there is a nominal charge for the managed storage accounts. This means there is a small cost for the storing those boot diagnostics. It is usually very small and worth it for the visibility it gives you. Enable OS guest diagnostic is unchecked. When you enable this, Azure collects detailed metrics from inside the operating system. Things like memory usage, disk write speed, network packet per second. This is very useful for troubleshooting slow virtual machines. For our demo, we leave it off. Health section has enable application health monitoring. This allows Azure to monitor whether an application running inside the virtual machine is responding or not. For example, if you are running a web server, Azure can check if the web server is responding to request or not. If it stopped responding, Azure can alert you or take action. We are leaving this off for now. Before we go further, let me tell you what we saw in the management setting on the review plus create page. I want to make sure that you understand these important options. System assigned managed identity is off. We talked about the managed identity earlier. This allows your virtual machine to authenticate to other Azure services without password in your code. So we are leaving it off for this demo. Login with Microsoft Entra ID is off. Entra ID is the Microsoft Identity Service, formerly known as Azure Active Directory. If this is enabled, you can log into the virtual machine using your company Microsoft account instead of the local username and password. It is very useful for the organization. We are keeping it off. Auto shutdown option is off. I want to highlight this. Auto shutdown automatically turn off your virtual machine at a scheduled time every day. For the students and developers, please enable this. It will save your money. If you forget to stop your virtual machine at night, it will keep running and you keep paying. With the auto shutdown, you can set it to turn off at 8 p.m. or whatever time work for you. The Azure will stop it automatically, and you can also get an email notification before it shuts down. Backup is disabled. Azure Backup takes daily snapshot of your virtual machine. If something goes wrong, you can restore a previous version. For any important work, enable backup. For our demo, it is disabled. Site recovery is disabled. Site recovery is for disaster scenarios. If your entire Azure region has a major outage, site recovery can replicate your virtual machine to another region. This is for very serious production environment, not needed for the learning. Enable hot patch is off. Hot patch allow Windows updates to be installed without restarting the virtual machine. This is excellent for the production server where you cannot afford downtime. It is available only for certain Windows images. Patch orchestration option shows OS orchestration patching. This means the operating system itself will manage when to install security patches. Azure will also apply patches according to the operating system schedule. Now we have reached the last tab, review and create. This is where Azure validates everything you have entered. So you can see a big green banner at the top that says validation passed. This means Azure has checked all your settings and there are no errors. Everything looks correct and your virtual machine is ready to be created. You can see a full summary of everything you have configured. Let me read through the important parts that appear on screen. Under the basic section, you can see security type is trusted launch, secure boot is enabled, VTPM is enabled, image is Windows Server 2025 Data Center Generation 2, and VM architecture is 64-bit, size is standard D2S V3 with 2 virtual CPUs and 8 GB memory. Enable hibernation is no. Username is PC1, public inbound port is RDP, already have a Windows license is no. Under disk, you can see OS disk size is image default, OS disk type is premium SSD LRS, used managed disk is yes, Delete OS disk with the virtual machine is enabled. Under the networking, virtual network is the new VM1. Subnet is the new VM1 subnet with address range 10.0.1.0/24. Under the user management, all the settings we reviewed are visible here too. There is also a button at the bottom right that says download a template for automation. This is a very useful advanced feature. When you click it, Azure gives you an ARM template, which is a JSON file that describes everything about your virtual machine configuration. You can use this template to create the exact same virtual machine again automatically. This is very useful for DevOps and automation. So when you are happy with everything, click the blue Create button. Microsoft Azure will start deploying the virtual machine. This usually takes 3 to 5 minutes. What happened during deployment? When you click Create, Azure start building the several things at the same time. It creates the virtual network, VM1, hub VNet, and the subnet inside it. It creates the public IP address, VM1 IP. It creates a network interface card. It creates the OS disk with premium SSD. Finally, it creates and starts the virtual machine itself. When all of them shows a green check mark, the deployment is complete. Click Go to Resource to open your new virtual machine. Now we are going to connect with the virtual machine. This is most exciting part. The VM is running. Now let's connect to it. Open your virtual machine main page in the Azure Portal. Look at the top menu. You will see a button that says Connect. Click on it. This will open a panel on the right side. It will show you the public IP address of your virtual machine and the port number 3389. Click the button that says Download RDP file. It will download a small file with the extension. Open this file. Your computer will launch the remote desktop connection application. You will see a dialog box asking you to confirm the connection. It may also show a security warning because a certificate is not from a well-known authority. For a learning virtual machine, click Connect to proceed. Now you will be asked for the username and the password. Type the username PC1 and the password you set during the virtual machine creation. Remember, this is the password you entered in the administrator account section on the basic tab. Click OK. Window will now log you in. It may take 30 to 60 seconds to fully load the desktop. Once it is loaded, you will see the Windows Server desktop inside your remote desktop window. You are now inside your virtual machine. You can install software, you can set up a web server, you can configure settings, you can do anything that you want on a regular Windows computer. The key difference is that this computer is running in the Microsoft data center in central India, not on your desk. So when you are back at the Azure portal looking at the virtual machine page, let me point out the important things that you can see there. At the top you will see the virtual machine name, the status should be running, the resource group, the region and the operating system. On the left side is menu with many options. Let me mention the most useful ones. The over will show you the main summary of your virtual machine including your public and private IP address. You can click on the connect button to download the RDP file to take the remote access of your virtual machine. The stop button will shut down the virtual machines. It will deallocate the virtual machines. Deallocated means Azure releases the computing resources. You will not be charged for the compute while it is deallocated. However, you will still be charged for the disk and public IP. Start will power on the virtual machine again. Restart will reboot the virtual machine without deleting anything. You can see the size option that will let you change the virtual machine size. If you need more power, click this and choose a bigger size. That VM will restart and come back with more CPU and memory. Disk is where you can manage your storage. You can add or remove data disk from here too. Networking shows your network interface, the public IP and the network security group rules. Monitoring shows charts with live data about your CPU, disk and network users. When you do not use the virtual machine, you can stop it to save your money. This is very important. I want to make sure everyone understands this. When you are done with working on your virtual machine, always stop it from Azure portal, not from inside the Windows. If you shut down Windows from inside the virtual machine enter a stopped state, but it is not deallocated. Azure can still charge you for compute because the resources are reserved. To properly stop and deallocate, go to your virtual machine in the portal and click the stop button at the top. Azure will ask you to confirm. Click yes. Wait for the status to change. Stopped, deallocated. Now you are not being charged for the virtual machine compute. You will still see a small charge for the disk and the public IP address while the virtual machine is stopped. To stop all charges completely, you would need to delete the virtual machine. There are some few important tips that I want to give you. Always enable auto shutdown for any virtual machine that you use for learning. Go to your virtual machine, find auto shutdown in the left menu. Enable it, set the time, set your time zone and add your email address for the notification. This will save you from accidentally running a virtual machine all night. Always keep your RDP access restricted. If you want to be more secure, go to networking in your virtual machine settings, find the RDP rule in the inbound port rules and change the source from any to my IP address. This way only your own internet connection can access the virtual machine. Use resource group wisely. Create a separate resource group for each project. When a project is done, delete the resource group and everything inside it gets cleaned up automatically. You can set up the budget and get alert when you are about to exceed your limit. Thank you so much for watching this. If this video helped you, please like and share it with your friends, classmates, or who is learning Azure. See you in the next video. Take care.